So, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Ike Mma show, the Ike Mma podcast, whichever you would prefer. Now, today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different, kind of like going back to my roots, how I started, where I started. So basically, it's about JAKEPAUL signing with PFL, and let me just make it clear now at the beginning of this video that I'm not hating on JAKEPAUL at all. They've kind of won me over, but nonetheless, let's take a look at the promo video that he made.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. You read the title correctly. I've officially signed as an MMA fighter to the fastest growing sports league in the world. The PFL, baby. Ah! Let's go! The Professional Fighters League, baby! And not only am I an MMA fighter now officially signed to an organization, but I am also a co-founder of the new PFL pay-per-view super fight division. The big bosses got around the table. Chairman Don Davis, CEO Peter Murray, Nikisa Badarian needs no explanation, and myself. We came together to launch the PFL pay-per-view super fight division. Now, let me explain. I will be the head of fighter advocacy. And as the head of fighter advocacy, I'm going to use my platform to market PFL fighters and introduce them to my fans worldwide. I personally will be deeply involved in making sure that the PFL is the best place in the world for fighters. As you guys know, I've been trying to increase fighter pay for all fighters worldwide. And with the launch of this new PFL Super Fight division, our fighters will be receiving 50% of the revenue. Yes, you heard that correctly. A true 50-50 partnership with fighters that still allows them to be individuals and even monetize their own sponsorship deals, which, as we know, isn't allowed in the UFC. You have to do what you're told and wear what you're told and promote what you're told. Today is a massive day for star pay-per-view fighters because you have another massive league that is ready to do big business. And I am the first fighter to sign to the new PFL pay-per-view super fight division. And I'm taking this seriously, okay? Yes, I still want to become a world champion in boxing. But as you guys know, I was a wrestler first. And when all of these influencers started boxing and calling people out, if you recall, I said I wanted to do MMA. Roll the clip.
But I wanted to be an MMA fighter.
That's so dope, guys. Look at, yo, fucking oh! So why not do an MMA match? And you would get dropped faster than Disney dropped me. It's an MMA match or it's nothing. I've already disrupted boxing, and now it's time to disrupt MMA. I know this is such a tough sport, and it's not going to be easy, but if I could do it in boxing, I could do it in MMA. I'm so dedicated to this that I offered Nate Diaz a 2-fight deal. First, we box. Then 6 months later, we fight MMA in the PFL Smart Cage and lay it all on the line. If that's not balls, then I don't know what is. Nate Diaz, I'm down to fight you in your own damn sport. It's a 2-fight deal. Let's make it happen. I love the PFL and everything they stand for. They are the only MMA organization with an in-season sports format. So let me explain. Just like the NFL or the NBA, PFL has a regular season, playoffs, and then the championship each year. So if you keep on winning, you keep on advancing. This means the best fighters fight the best fighters every single year, which is better for you. I'm bringing you the best fights. That's a big problem in the sport of boxing is everyone's afraid to just make it happen and fight each other and lay it all on the line. In the PFL, fighters gotta go against each other. If you missed the last PFL championship event, then honestly, like, you seriously played yourself. It was one of the best events of the year. I also am going to ensure that the PFL is the gold standard in combat sports when it comes to fighter relations and opportunity. We are a fighters first league, and I put that on my mama. This league is full of superstars. Brendan Loughnane. Robert Wilkinson. Oliver Aubin Mercier, the Canadian gangster. Kayla Harrison, Larissa Pacheco. Sadabu C, the fastest kicks in the PFL. The KO artist Ante Dillashaw. The PFL shitting on everybody. This league is absolutely the most lit thing in the world! Alright, I need to calm down. But seriously, I'm excited. And not to mention that these champions get $1 million when they win. Join the PFL, baby. My advisor, Nakisa Badarian, is also joining as a co-founder of this new division for the PFL, and I'm appointing him the head of making everyone money. Our goal is simple, and that's to make PFL the biggest MMA organization in the world, all whilst making it the best place for fighters to have a home. There are so many amazing people on the PFL team and so many amazing strategic investors that are going to help make this happen. All in all, I'm so excited for this announcement. I'm so excited to start training MMA for my first MMA fight. This partnership is going to change the way that MMA operates forever.
So, make of that what you will, but so far I have to say that, like I said at the beginning of the video, the very beginning of the video, before the promo video by JAKEPAUL, that they've kind of won me over, and I say it's more so the case after I had the conversation with Rob from McDojo Life, who I had on the podcast just a few days before Christmas Day. When I think about it, when I think about what's going on in mixed martial arts at the moment with fighters, particularly in the UFC, I have to say that maybe JAKEPAUL might be trying to do some good with his platform and with the kind of following that he has. I mean, he said in that video that together with the major, I think PFL board members, that he's going to launch what they're going to call the PFL pay-per-view super fight division, and there'll be benefits such as PFL fighters will be entitled to have 50% of the revenue that I think that the company earns, or from what they earn from the fight. I didn't understand it that deeply or so clearly, but that's what I can make of what I took away from it. So there's not much to say from this, but I mean, when I saw the post on YouTube and on Instagram, I think Instagram's where I saw this first, I'd say that I was shocked, and I was thinking, okay, this is okay. In mixed martial arts, this is where he's going to meet, his match, if you will, because mixed martial arts, of course, unlike boxing, there's far more you can use in your arsenal, and there's far more that you have to use on the offensive, and there's a lot more that you have to watch out for, but to defend yourself whilst you're in the cage or the ring, wherever you are. And he's already called out certain fighters and some big names, who are big draws. Of course, the obvious one that he's thrown out there already, Nate Diaz. And I think from what I've learned, he is going to the conditions of what the fight he's going to offer to Nate Diaz is that Nate Diaz can have a boxing match. It's going to be like a 2-fight deal. The first fight will be a boxing match, and then the next 6 months after the first fight, which is a boxing match, they're going to have a mixed martial arts MMA fight. This is something I learned from another YouTuber who had watched the promo and probably done their own investigative work. But looking at the whole thing, I'm actually glad that he's done this, because he's on his own, he's a big name, he's a big draw, and hopefully in terms of fighters paying and fighters terms and conditions for their contracts, he can do some monumental, instrumental changes. A lot of fighters, particularly again in the UFC, have been shouting and making the argument, making the case that they want to be paid properly for their pay their worth, be paid properly for how they perform in the cage. You do get just a few golden boys such as Conor McGregor and John Jones, who seem to get what they want or get their way all the time. and a lot of the fighters, other guys in the UFC roster, that's just not the case. So it'll be really interesting to see where this goes. I mean, my first reaction when I saw the post again is that I thought, no, this guy's just going to go to PFL, a big mixed martial arts promoter, and he's just going to be look like a laughing stock. He would look like a clown. But on thinking about this on a deeper level, again going back to the conversation I had with Rob from McDojo Life, I think maybe he can do some good for the sport. I think he's tried to meet in the middle of Dana White. In fact, Dana White. Speaking of which, Dana White just wants nothing to do with the guy, and so yeah, Dana just wasn't going to have that, and so I think this what Jake Paul's doing with PFL will cause some issues for the UFC. And speaking of which, the UFC, things aren't really looking good for them at the moment. How they've ended the year of 2022 and how they began the year of 2023. You had the betting scandal, which started off with James Krause, and then the betting scandal, and then you also had the issues with the judges who were just kind of giving wins, which almost seems like they were giving wins to people who didn't deserve the win, who really, they clearly lost that fight, but for some reason, bizarrely enough, they thought that that particular opponent, that particular fighter deserved that win. And then, though this isn't so much fight related, but because he's such a big name in the sport and he's spearheading, he's the owner, CEO, director of such a big name, big promoter in mixed martial arts, there's the issue of Dana White hitting his wife at a nightclub in Mexico on New Year's Eve. The footage of that went viral just a few days ago. But yeah, I mean, that's not directly fight related, but again, for the organization, that just doesn't really look good. But look, if he does, if he's true to his word, Jake Paul, when he's working with PFL, then I'll be glad that actually he's gone over there and made some big changes and actually done some instrumental changes for the sport and benefited the fighters. Because I see a lot of these fighters in other organizations outside of the UFC, Bellator, PFL, One Championship, Cage Warriors, and even smaller promotions here in the UK, over in Ireland, and even the US. They have a lot of talented fighters there, and the organization, they host some very entertaining fights, some very entertaining events, but just because they don't have the name power and the draw power that an organization such as the UFC does, the fighters and even the fighting promotion overall just do not get the recognition that they deserve. The UFC can host a really lousy, abysmal card, regardless of the weight division. And just because of the UFC, because they got that brand, because they're on that throne, they're the king of the mixed martial arts sporting scene, they can get away with hosting a really bad night, bad event of fights. So if Jake Paul can turn things around with his own star power, with his own audience and his own platform, he's already got a big following. Even before he came into boxing, even before he burst onto the combat sporting scene, then this will be something that I personally will be very happy for, and I'll be really glad that he has done. Of course, not forgetting the part of the conversation I had with McDojo Life when I had him on the podcast about whether Jake Paul can be considered a professional boxer. That question, I'm still on the fence about that. But again, I'm not hating on the guy or his brother. Again, let's see what happens with the PFL thing. But guys, thank you very, very much for watching. If you did enjoy this episode, please don't forget to leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe. And yeah, you can also catch the podcast on Spotify, iTunes, and Google Podcasts. Take care.